fucking her up the ass. And then the daughter, oh no, sorry, the brother starts going down on his sister and just starts eating out her pussy. And then, I know. And then the pussy just starts like cum and pussy juice is just all over the floor, and it just smells like pussy juice, you all know. And the mother can't handle being on the desk, so she starts vomiting, like disgusting, all over the desk and all over on the talent agent. She can't handle it as well as other people can. So then, she scoops up her vomit in her hands and she starts rubbing it on her face and on her breast, and she's all like, ugh, the vomit. And her son stops eating his sister's pussy and walks over to her and starts licking it off of her face and off of her breast. And so there's that happening. And the daughter does a handstand, so her head's on the ground, her pussy's just out there hanging in the air. And the father walks over and he goes, watch this. And he reaches down to her tight little pussy and he pulls out the katana. Which is a sword, if you're not familiar with what a katana is. And with the katana, he takes the katana and he slices off his wife's arm. And her arm just falls to the floor and there's blood everywhere and it's disgusting. And he drops the sword and then he starts fucking her in her armhole. The word she just, I don't know how his penis got up there, but like he starts fucking her in the armhole. Meanwhile, the son picks up the dismembered arm and puts it into a fist and then starts fisting himself with it. I know. So there's that. And then Grandma bursts in at this time holding the dog and she throws the dog. And the dog lands on the daughter who's still upside down. And then the dog starts eating her pussy. So now there's dog slobber mixed in with all the pussy juice that's getting on everywhere all over the floor. So then, what happened? Thing. Oh, it's confusing. The dog starts eating off her pussy, and then...
Grandma likes the titties, come on.
Dogs eating that pussy!
Right, thank you. Pussy juice. So, the mother, no, the grandma comes in, and the grandma starts taking off her clothes. And the grandma's like 87, like she's not got a good body. And she picks up one of her orangutan tits and she starts licking the nipple. Digging it. And so the mom sees this and she forces her husband out of her armhole and she goes and she picks up the katana with her one hand and she slices off Grandma's breasts. I know. And Grandma's breasts just fall to the ground and there's blood pouring out of her chest and she falls on the floor and she's convulsing and puking and there's blood everywhere and she eventually dies. It's sad. Mother goes and she picks up one of the grandma's titties and she takes it over to her son's face, who's still fisting himself with her arm, and she starts rubbing it over his face and he starts licking his grandma's nipple as it's being dragged over his face and while he's fisting himself with his mother's arm. The father walks over to the daughter has gone and she's gotten a big black dildo out of her purse and she strapped it to her head like a unicorn and she charges at her father right in the asshole, and then starts, giving it to him like that. We'll call it unicorn style. And, just try it. So the mother, the son then takes his mother's hand out of his ass, and he smacks her across the face with it, and shit just gets all over her face and all over the room, mixing with the pussy juice and the dog and the cum and all the other shit that's on the floor right now. And then, the dog, meanwhile, has grabbed the other tit and has running around the room with it, dragging it through the cum and the shit and the pussy juice and all that other shit. So the son goes over to his father, who is getting fucked unicorn style, and starts sucking on his dick, his father's dick. So now the father has got his son on one side and his daughter up his ass. And the mother picks up her shitty covered arm, and goes over and she starts smacking her kids with her shitty covered arm, slinging shit everywhere. And the dog, meanwhile, is still running around the room like a dog. The father finally comes in his son's face, and the son gets right in the eye, and he recoils back, and he falls, and he slips, and he's covered in his shit, and the cum, the pussy juice, but then he smears it on his face like a tribal dancer. Then he starts doing this weird chant, and the rest of the family starts convulsing, and they all chant with him, and they all get to the middle of the line, and they form up one by one, and they start a big group fuck right in front of them, and there's shit flying everywhere. And then the dog runs over and pees in Grandma's mouth, and just fills it to the brim with dog piss. And the rest of the family follows suit, and they all go over and they all start peeing on Grandma's face. And all the acid in the pee just starts melting away Grandma's face, and the skin and the blood and shit falls out until Grandma's skull is left. And so the dad grips the skull and rips it off of her body and slams it down on the desk, and they all put their clothes back on, they stand back, and they're looking at the talent agent with their arms folded, except for the mom, because she put on arms. And the Tom's got wiped a little off of his shoulder. He's like, well, what do you call that? And the father goes, we call that the Aristocrats. And, yeah, thanks. He's like, I love it, I'll call you next week. And so they all leave, and they get to the room, and 3 of the donkeys are there dead, and the receptionist has her head in the 4th one's asshole. Thanks, guys.